Hello everyone, thank you so much for being here. I am Jessica Delmar. In this episode, we are continuing on with the information that came through about the pillars of both the 3D and the 5D construct. And basically, this information came forward to bring more awareness of the things that are coming up right now, the crumbling of these pillars within our 3D construct in order to rebuild them more in alignment to our 5D construct. By bringing forth this information, it's nothing to fear. This is not fear-based. This is simply something to bring into your awareness, to empower your divine inner being or your connection to your divine inner being, and also to empower your trust in the unfolding of your reality and your experiences within your reality. You are, when connected to your divine inner being and trusting in the unfolding of you allowing your divine inner being to lead you, you are always exactly where you need to be, and the unfolding is always happening perfectly for you in perfect timing. So I created these illustrations that I will link to in the show notes. I'll also put it on the screen if you're watching on YouTube. That illustrates the 3D construct and the 5D construct. The 3D construct was very much the 3D construct of rule. Basically, those in power, what had come through in part 1 is that those in power very much were able to tap into the mind or the brain of the collective consciousness through the halls of a mentee. And therefore, these 4 pillars of religion, education, healthcare, and government and politics were created to uphold their control efforts. Something I wanted to clarify in terms of the within and the without aspect of the 3D construct of rule is in part 1 of this episode series, I spoke about how in the 3D construct of rule, it is based upon separation and duality. And so even though as within, so without exists, whether it's in 3D or 5D, the difference is that in 3D, it is perceived within the lens of duality and separation, even though they are still connected, as within, so without. It's not connected in the consciousness of those individuals existing within the duality of a 3D construct. Now, as the 3D construct of rule begins to crumble, these 4 pillars especially, then a new construct is able to be built and birthed. 5D is still a construct. It's still an illusionary experience because we're still having a physical experience. For as long as we're having a physical experience, we are creating our reality and experiencing our reality in a see it, touch it, taste it, hear it, smell it, sense it type of way. And so you're still held within a sort of grid or a web to create. It's just that the vibrational layer that you're creating within is now in a higher frequency, so you're creating things more in alignment to 5D, more in alignment to higher vibrations, more in alignment to the connectedness and the unity consciousness that exists in the 5D layer of construct, really, the 5D layer of reality, versus the 3D layer of reality was very much about duality, separation, polarity, etc. So as we shift into the 5D construct, it's no longer a construct of rule, but now it's a 5D construct of thought, emphasis on thought, and the ability to have an open and free mind. The illustration is sort of still the same, but the way that we participate in this construct and the way that it therefore feeds back into us and our energy is different. It's higher vibrational. It's in alignment to that new layer of thought based upon unity consciousness. So the 4 pillars that reflect the construct of 5D is also based upon the 5D collective energy. So 5D collective energy raising into those higher vibrations. As within, so without is now the focus that creates unity, connection, and togetherness. So that was separate in 3D, but now in 5D, the shadow and the light are both conscious in the within and the without. So in the within, the shadow and the light of the 5D construct is in the knowing sense. In the without, the shadow and the light of the 5D construct is in the seen, the things that you can see in your manifestations. You can also see that there are 4 pillars that create this 5D construct. In the 3D construct, the 4 pillars were religion, education, healthcare, and government or politics. In 5D, religion shifts into spirituality. Healthcare shifts into well-being. Education shifts into educational support, more in alignment to the needs of children and adults. Because with free thought comes different ways of learning and participation within the educational system. And government and politics shift into higher vibrational leadership. The 4 pillars are not separate anymore, but they're flexible and they blend together in order to create a societal construct that reflects all together in unity. There is no separation between spirituality and leadership and well-being of people and education that supports the unique minds of children and adults, but all energy of creation, expansion, and even contraction and destruction come together to birth a new society made up of free and open thinkers. And so you see that I mentioned both shadow and light within the within and the without. And also, I mentioned the creation, expansion, and even contraction and destruction energy. And this is because in 5D, it's not just about high vibration and rainbows and butterflies and light and love and only light and only expansion and creation. But in 5D, we're integrating a unity consciousness. We're integrating the wholeness of that which is both yin and yang. And that includes both light and dark. Not separate like in 3D, but now it comes together in wholeness so that even the dark creates expansion. Even in the dark, you're able to find points of expansion to birth new things, versus in 3D, because they were separate, because light and dark were separate, when you found yourself in the dark, you couldn't find an average person in 3D couldn't necessarily find points of expansion within the dark, but rather when they were in the dark, they would most likely just dig themselves further into the dark. But when the dark and the light begin to work together in balance, then even in the exploration of dark, you can find the light and you can find expansion. We spoke about the media and the financial institution within the 3D construct in part 1. But now, within the 5D construct, even those institutions change and shift too. Media is not focused on fear to maintain that construct, because in 3D, the media very much focused on fear in order to maintain the 3D construct and feed that construct of energy. But in 5D, it no longer aligns to the vibrational layer within 5D. So media now is used as a force for free thought. In 3D, very much the free thought, a lot of people with free thought are censored. 5D, tapping into that energy, I don't feel that. I feel the openness and the allowance of free thought, no matter what it is that you think. Finance is no longer the blood of the construct, but a way for energy exchange to take place. In 3D, we spoke about how finance is not one of the pillars of the construct, but it is an institution that is more like the blood flow within the 3D construct. It feeds into each of the pillars and is really the life force behind everything within the 3D construct, but in a lower vibrational way. So along with the financial institution and money, it creates lower vibrational energy such as fear, lack, anxiety, depression, etc., etc. But money also creates, if you think of money in terms of it being a seed and then the branches that grow out from that seed, it also creates physical manifestations of lower vibrational things such as drugs, trafficking, inequality, poverty, war, sickness, all revolving around money and finance. All stems from money and finance. But in 5D, finance is no longer the blood of this construct, but again, it's a way for energy exchange to take place. Money is still part of 5D, but the vibrational rule that it had on people in 3D, again, those lower vibrations, the lower energy, the lower physical manifestations that stem out of money in 3D, shifts into a vibrational freedom between people and the way that money is exchanged. Money loses its grip when it comes to lower vibrational energy and the manifestations that stem out of those lower vibrations. What really shifts is the value. Value shifts from the money itself, because in 3D, the value was all about the money, which therefore created and seeded a lot of those lower vibrational things, such as lack, and then all of the other things, the physical manifestations that revolved around money. But it shifts into now the value being focused on the goods and the services that are being provided rather than the money itself. In other words, the relationship that people have with money shifts in 5D, which in turn creates more abundance rather than lack. In 3D, a lot of people have a lower vibrational relationship when it comes to money. There's a lot of lack involved, there's a lot of need involved, and there's a lot of corruption involved. So that all shifts when opening up into the 5D vibrational layer, because the value is no longer on money itself. The value is on the goods or the services being provided. And money is just a form of energy exchange. And so when a person holds that type of relationship with money, then abundance becomes a lot easier to receive. When a person is in lack, they're resisting. There's a lot of resistance when it comes to money. So it pushes it away, creating more lack for that person. When the person doesn't hold on so tight to money and is not so resistant to money, then it opens up more flow of money, creating more abundance. So there's a lot of those programs, especially when it comes to money, that need to crumble, that need to break down and shift, so that within a person's mind and their relationship with money, the programs and the beliefs that they have revolving around money will shift. And that's going to be a powerful shift, because it's going to shift basically the blood of our construct of reality. And in 3D, we spoke about the halls of Amenti. In 5D, the halls of Amenti have kicked those in previous power out, because the halls of Amenti have shifted as well. Security within the halls of Amenti have strengthened, because those who hold free thought have consciously chosen that their minds not be overridden with programs of control. So people who have exited that 3D construct of rule are conscious, they're awakened, and they're saying, no, I am a sovereign being, I am a powerful creator being, and stepping into that place of power, self-empowerment, means that you reject the rule of what other people may tell you to believe in this, or the programs that they're trying to install within you. So that loosens the grip that those in power within 3D have on you and your mind especially. The shift into free thought shifts the power structure from those who were in control in 3D over to the people being in control within their own individual minds to create realities in vibrational alignment to 5D. People holding control within their own realities does not create a mess in society, but rather it creates or opens and allows divine order. So this was a question I had because, we all have such different viewpoints and perspectives and individual free thought that could it get messy? And so that was sort of the answer that came through, that no, it doesn't become a mess. It doesn't create anything like that, but rather it opens the allowance of divine order, which was controlled in the 3D construct. So divine order, even though everything is always in divine order, even when it's not, in 3D it very much didn't allow for that greater divine order to be the leader, to lead, to guide our construct, but rather it was power structures that really controlled that construct. But in 5D, it leaves it open to divine order and that greater universal balance to lead and to guide us as a collective within our society. And I thought that there would be time for me to go through each of these 4 pillars within the 3D and 5D construct, but I'm actually going to save that for the next part because there's still a lot of information that came through. In part 3, I'm going to break down each of these 4 pillars because information came through regarding the breakdown of the 3D pillars and the shift into the 5D pillars, especially when it comes to sort of the pillars that we're going through right now in the crumbling, meaning the healthcare system and government. So some interesting information came through about the 4 pillars, again, regarding government, healthcare, education, and religion. So I'll bring through all of that information in part 3. Thank you everyone for listening in. Know that you are an extension of Source, having a physical experience. So in everything that you do with love, an open heart, and an open mind. And you'll realize the greater experiences held between the lines of your reality and now moment.